Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On the Mark. I'm your host, Mark Brantley, and I'm here. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock, and that means we are having a show. Last week we missed the show, and I apologize to you sincerely. We missed the show because we were streaming live here on Von Radio, one of the Culturama shows. And of course, this is Culturama 50 and Nevis's homecoming, and so all attention has been focused on our cultural celebration, a celebration of all things Nevision and cultural. We welcome all the thousands of people who have come home, and we look forward as we go into the last weekend of Culturama 50 to see our brothers and sisters from St. Kitts coming over in large numbers to attend the functions. The shows thus far have been packed, and they have been well executed. We apologize. The Mr. Cool and Miss Swimsuit show went a bit longer than anticipated. We do apologize for that, but those who are organizing have responded well and have adjusted, and I believe that all the other shows have ended in proper time. And so we are trying our very best to ensure that those who are attending the shows have an excellent time. Let me just announce that tomorrow, Thursday, the 1st of August, will be a half holiday here on the island of Nevis, and that has been requested and approved by the cabinet for the simple reason that we're having the children's parade tomorrow afternoon through the streets of Charlestown. The organizers of Culturama this year decided that they wanted to separate the children from the adult parade, which happens next week. And so for that reason, tomorrow, Thursday, we'll have the children's parade. It's 8 o'clock. It means that you still have time to go out to the homecoming ball that is being put on by the Empire Sports Club at the MGR Park. We're requesting, of course, all who can to support them. They are an excellent community group, and they've decided to host this ball. They're saying it's a ball, so dress up. The dress attire is formal. We know it's been a little rainy today, but the rains have now held up, and based on the weather forecast, it looks as if we might be okay. We've had a bit of a tropical depression in the area, but it looks like it's now dissipating, and so there's still time to go out. Tonight as well, I think at Herbert's Beach we have the homecoming celebration over there, and we're putting on all these various events because we want our people who are home to feel welcomed. We are really rolling out the red carpet in every which way, and we're doing that because you deserve it. You are our brothers and sisters, you are aunts and uncles, our cousins, and you have contributed from wherever you live to the life and times and the growth and development of Nevis. In fact, when I looked the other night as we renamed the Nevis Cultural Complex in honor of NEDAX, the Nevis Dramatic and Cultural Society, and I looked at the members, I realized that many of those original members are in fact resident abroad. And so it really doesn't matter where you live. The reality is that Nevisians at home and abroad have been making their contribution, and this year really they have come home in their numbers. And so I welcome all of you who are home. I know there are a number of family reunions happening: Jeffers, Huggins, Prentice, Wards. There's so many different families are celebrating with each other, and I really love that. It has really been a wonderful time here on the island of Nevis. Last Monday, on the 29th of July, we hosted a cocktail reception at the MGR Park for returning nationals, and that event was fantastic. Everybody had a chance to mix and mingle, to see each other, to have conversations. Many came up to indicate that they were very happy with what they were seeing on Nevis, the development that they were seeing, quality of our roads, the water infrastructure, the electricity infrastructure, what we've done there at the Pinnis Park, what we've done in terms of the Bath Stream, and so many other projects that people really commented on. In fact, I felt very good that a gentleman who approached me said that he is in fact into construction and manages major projects in the United States, and he commented on how impressed he was with the MGR Park and the level and quality of construction there and design that he saw. Many people don't know, but the visitor center itself with that dome is actually a grass covered dome, and that is environmentally friendly. It keeps the building cool, but I'm told it's one of the only buildings of its kind in the entire Caribbean. And so we're very, very happy that we're able to showcase Nevis. People are in the villages and in the communities, staying with family, staying with friends, staying at the hotels. In fact, I visited the Hermitage Hotel a few days ago, and I was told that they are booked solid. All the hotels are booked out. The Four Seasons, I'm told, I saw the statistics from them, and they're running at 96% capacity at the moment, which at this time of year, going into August, that is simply phenomenal. And so we welcome everyone. From the bottom of my heart, I am so humbled at the response from Nevisians abroad. We said that we were having this homecoming. We didn't know how it would go, of course, but from very early we said we wanted to have the homecoming to coincide with Culturama 50, and I'm so happy how people have responded. People have commented very favorably on the cultural complex, the cultural village, on NEPAC. All of these venues have been improved and have been considerably upgraded for Culturama 50. Now, some people have, of course, raised the question as to why we decided to spend money on some of these venues, and the simple answer is that it's an investment. We invested in the entertainment sector, and we felt that Culturama 50 was a good time to make that investment, and it is not a one-off investment. I know some have said, oh, so when Culturama 50 over, what happens? The truth is that we have creatives here, we have the bands, we have artists, we have promoters, and those venues are available to them. So I'm hopeful that people will use those venues going forward, and that investment over time will inure to the benefit of all of Nevis. We have a few shows, the big shows that are left. I believe tomorrow, Thursday, we have the Soca Monarch competition. I'm expecting a full house for that. That's in the Cultural Village. Then on Friday, we have the Rumble in the Jungle, the Calypso finals, where all the Caisonians are going to come out to vie for the Calypso crown. The defending king is Hollywood, but we have all the big guns coming, and this year we have 10, I'm told, in the finals, and that will be at the Cultural Village. And then on Saturday we have the big Emancipation show. I'm told at that show we have a number of artists. The headliners are Bungie Garlin and Fair and Lions, but we also have Ja Vinci and other artists who are going to be there, local and regional artists. And then we have on Sunday our Miss Culture Queen pageant, and for the Kaiso competition, the king this year walks away with a brand new car, and for the Miss Culture competition, the queen walks away with a full scholarship to Monroe College in New York. And we want to thank so much our partners, TDC for partnering with us on the car, Monroe College for offering us a scholarship. It is really wonderful. And so for those young ladies who are vying, this is an opportunity of a lifetime for you to get an education in New York, college education, and to obviously advance yourself through education. And so we are trying our very best to put on a class act here, and thus far, through the grace of God, it has gone very well. Today we had torrential rains here on Nevis, but there were no major events that were affected. Even the Heritage Day we had today at the Heritage Village, my good friend Tessa Manners and cousin has reported that things there went extremely well, and the rains came a bit later in the day, and so they would not have impacted too much. And as I said, as I got here to Von Radio, it was clear that the weather is clearing up, still overcast, but the rains have stopped, and so persons should really make their way to the homecoming ball at the MGR Park, and of course to the celebrations that are happening at Herbert's Beach. So whatever your taste might be, there's a lot happening this evening, and we welcome you, we welcome you, we welcome you. Thank you for all who are here. Now let me sound a few words of caution. We have had reports of course, hundreds of new vehicles, or should I say additional vehicles on our roads. Those who are home have rented vehicles and are driving. Those who are here, many of them lending out their cars, etc. The truth is that even from St. Kitts, hundreds of vehicles have come over from various agencies. Hertz Rent-A-Car, for example, is not usually based in Nevis, but they brought over a considerable number of vehicles as everybody tries to benefit from the large number of consumers who are on island. I just want to issue a word of caution to those who are using the roads. We as a government have invested significantly in roads over the years, and so most of the roads, especially the Island Main Road in Nevis, are nice and smooth. And we recognize the tendency to speed. We also recognize that some people go out and party and then they're driving home or getting back to their hotels late at night, sometimes in the wee hours of the morning. We are encouraging you, please, to drive carefully. Drive not just for yourself, but drive for other drivers. Also in Nevis, let us remember that we have wild animals like donkeys who frequent the roads, especially late at nights. And so we want to be careful. We have also had reports that some people, I guess our brothers and sisters who are visiting from the United States, and of course they drive on the right side of the road. And so we've had complaints that some persons have inadvertently been driving on the wrong side of the road, because in Nevis we drive left, and some of them have been driving on the right side, which they're accustomed to in the States. So we're asking that you be aware of these things, that you keep left, that you drive at a moderate speed, and that for God's sake, please do not drink and drive. We've already had a few accidents, and just today I met a young man whom I'd met recently, and he said he was all bandaged up, and I asked him what happened, and he said he was knocked down by a vehicle somewhere there in Brownhill, in the Brownhill Gap area. And I commiserated with him, but it again underscores the need for all of us, those who are visiting and those who are here, meaning those who live here, that we drive responsibly. So please, that's an appeal. I really want us to have an incident and accident-free Culturama 50. So let us please work together to achieve that. Let me also issue an appeal for many of our people. I should not say many, because that is putting it too highly. A few of our people have some bad tendencies of throwing bottles and trash out of their windows as they drive, styrofoam containers, etc. I'm asking you yet again to stop that. It is unpatriotic, it is unhealthy, it is unhelpful, and if I may use a word, it is downright nasty. So I just want our people to really do the right thing. We have receptacles for garbage all around the island. If you're driving and you're eating or drinking in your car, wait until you get to a garbage receptacle and dispose of it there. Please let us focus on keeping our island clean and working with the government to have the best possible representation of Nevis. That for me is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 1:15 the hour. Please bear with me. I wasn't here last week as I indicated, but I have quite a bit of news to report. A piece of major news, and that has to do with the fact that the drillers for water from Trinidad that this government has contracted, that they have arrived with all of their equipment to the island of Nevis. I'm told that they've already moved that equipment to the staging area where we're going to try to find water. The first well that we're about to drill is in the Maddens area, and I'm told by the minister, as he reported to the cabinet just this morning, that the hope would be, if all goes well, that within a week or 10 days we should have access to water from that first well. While the drillers are here, as you've been told, we hope to have several wells done in different parts of the island. Our goal is to get between 1.5 and 2 million gallons of additional water into the system. Why is that important? That is important because, as you've heard me say from time to time, this government has been working with a plan. And the plan has been simple: to develop, as our resources, financial resources permitted, our water resource in an incremental way. So our first investment had to do with improving our storage and distribution. You recall some years ago, nearly all of Nevis looked like it was under construction because we're changing out all the old pipes, all those old iron pipes that some have been there for 40, 50 years. We're changing those out and using modern polyurethane pipes. In fact, some of you may have seen those blue pipes lying around. Those are the modern pipes. And so we changed out all the old pipes to the modern new pipes. We also ensured that in those village areas which had smaller pipes, we enlarged those pipes to remove the situation of low pressure that some people complained about. So we've eliminated low pressure throughout the island. We continue to develop that water distribution network to the point where we can now move water more easily around Nevis. The second thing that we invested significantly in is more storage. And so you see now some brand new state-of-the-art tanks all across the island, in Spring Hill, in Stony Hill, up there in Brown Pasture, Burden Pasture area. You see them all over. And what we've tried to do is to create additional storage. We have replaced a lot of the old tanks which were leaking and therefore wasting water. We have repaired those that we could, and we have added tanks, and we now have a modern storage infrastructure. So we spent millions of dollars on distribution, improving that network. We spent millions on storage, and the third and final phase of that, of course, is to find more water. And we have promised that we will be doing that. We are working on a small desalination plant in the St. James area. That was a gift from the United Arab Emirates. There's also one in St. Kitts, because when I was foreign minister, I negotiated 2 plants, one for Nevis and one for St. Kitts, with the United Arab Emirates. We thank them, and that is happening as we speak. And then we were seeking to drill additional wells to access additional groundwater, and that is why the drillers from Trinidad are now here. And so we anticipate that a combination of the desalination and the new drilling will give us additional water. And as I said, we're aiming for anywhere from 1.5 to 2 million gallons per day. And if we can get that, then it means that we can have our tanks filled with water and limit the possibilities of water outages going forward. So this is a significant investment that we're making. That drilling contract, if memory serves, was just about $3 million, I think it was, $3 million US. And that was to drill a number of wells. I can't remember the number now, but certainly a large number of wells were supposed to be dug so that we can access water. And we, before that, commissioned a study to identify where we would drill. And the drillers should have been here since around May, but they had various setbacks. But praise be to God, they're here now. I want to go on record, ladies and gentlemen, to commend the Honorable Spencer Brand, our Minister with responsibility for infrastructure and water. He has really quietly gone about doing amazing things for this island. The roads that you're driving on, the infrastructure that you're seeing, he has been at the helm of that. He's assisted, of course, by an excellent team, Director Williams and the entire team at Public Works. But I'm very, very impressed with what we have seen in water, because I believe that water is life, and the investment that we're seeing in water is long term. Now, a lot of people like to say this isn't happening and that isn't happening, but as a government, we have been very serious and very deliberate about how we go about developing the island. We may not be making a lot of noise sometimes, and sometimes even things that we do perhaps fall under the radar. But if every time you turn on your tap you can get potable water here on the island of Nevis at any time of the day or night and on any day of the year, I think that that would be an amazing accomplishment for any government, and certainly an amazing accomplishment for us. And so we have been working very deliberately, and despite the noise that we hear in some quarters, we have been developing in a systematic and orderly way and putting things in place. So we did not go and try to get new water first, because we said if we got new water, where would we store it? How would we distribute it? So we went first to fix the distribution, enhance the network, fix the storage, enhance the network, and then we have now the capacity to add more water. So I just want people to understand the thinking behind it. I'm not saying we will all agree, but certainly if you can understand the thinking behind it. And so I'm very grateful to Spencer and his team. They have done an excellent job, and for that I say thank you. Now, a lot, as I indicate, has been happening and it continues to happen. There are a number of events that have occurred, a number of activities on the island that are happening. We have a marvelous art exhibition where this artist Howard Payne has painted various buildings of historic Charlestown. That exhibition is currently free. It is happening at the government buildings at Social Security building there in Pinnes. And we encourage you to take a look. If you're here, pass through. Who knows, you may bump into the Premier, you may bump into the Deputy Premier, you may bump into various government ministers, you may say hello to them as well. But come and see these paintings, because I think they capture historic Charleston in a very significant way. Of course, I want to thank Howard Payne, but also I want to thank Deborah Tyrrell and her team, because they've really been doing an excellent job in terms of art and artistry. And the Gallery of Nevis Art has really done a wonderful job. And so it was their idea. They partnered with the government, and we have now an exhibition there. And so I suggest that you come and you take a look. The paintings are exhibited on all 3 floors of that building. And so, as I indicated, there is a tremendous amount happening. Reminder for those who may just be tuning in that tomorrow is a half holiday. Let me, while I speak about tomorrow, also of course indicate that tomorrow, as we do each year, we have the ceremony to mark the commemoration of the Christina disaster. As we know, the MV Christina sank on the 1st of August 1970 and taken to the grave, a watery grave, many people, primarily from Nevis, but a few from St. Kitts as well. People were coming home to enjoy the long weekend, the holiday weekend, and many perished. We have viewed that as such an emotional and in fact monumental moment in the history of this island called Nevis. Some say it set back our development decades. Some people lost both mother and father. Families were torn apart. We lost so many. In fact, I believe the tally is that we lost over 200 souls on that day. And so each year the Nevis Island Administration organizes and holds a commemoration service where we pay respect to those whom we would have lost, and we remember those who survived. And so for all of those who might be visiting, those who are here, who may want to come tomorrow, the service will take place on the grounds of Hamilton House, right there on Hunkins Drive, where in the ordinary course we would have the Nevis Island Assembly sitting, and which houses the Museum of Nevis History. And on those grounds we will have, starting at 9 a.m. tomorrow, the memorial service, the commemoration of the Christina disaster. And so we invite one and all who can come, please, to come. We would lay some wreaths. We would have, of course, a member of the clergy who would lead us, and usually we would sing a hymn or two, and certainly they would call out the names of those who perished and the names of those who survived. We would ordinarily have a moment of silence as we reflect and as we remember. It is our hope that generations to come will never ever forget that terrible disaster, which remains to this day the largest single disaster that St. Kitts and Nevis has experienced, and certainly the largest disaster at sea. And so we encourage you, if you're here, to come tomorrow morning at 9 to the Hunkins waterfront, to the Hamilton House grounds, to have that memorial service as we recognize and commemorate the loss of so many of our people in the Christina disaster, a loss that goes back this year some 54 years. And so we look forward to that tomorrow, to see our people come out and pay their respect as we do each year. Again, it's a half holiday, so in the afternoon we will have the children's parade through the streets of Charlestown, and then that evening there's a Soca Monarch. On Friday, as I indicated, there's the Calypso show. On Saturday there is the Emancipation show, and then on Sunday there's the Queen show. On Monday there's also the Caribbean Queen show. That's a private event that's put on by Mr. Randy Jeffers and his team. And so we are have a lot in store. We're praying that God is good to us and that the weather holds. Based on the forecast I've seen, it looks like it will hold up nicely going into the weekend, and we're hopeful that that's the case. And then, of course, we also hope that God will make and keep all of us safe on the roads, safe from any form of accident or incident. And we thank so far our security forces for the excellent job that they've been doing. We have added and beefed up our CCTV coverage around the island, and so we're urging persons to behave responsibly and to do what is right. Now, as I said, a lot has been happening. We were able this week to make the announcement that we have appointed in an honorific role Candy Carter, an African-American woman who is a multi-time Emmy Award winner. She used to produce the Oprah Winfrey Show and would have won the Emmy Award for that. Now, Candy Carter was introduced to me by a mutual friend, my dear friend Carmen Raymond. And we first met because we were talking about film. And we invited Candy Carter and her husband Joseph. I hope if they're listening, they're in New Jersey, good evening to them. But we invited them to come to Nevis, and they stayed at the Four Seasons. They fell instantly in love with Nevis. But they made an observation to me. And I believe that it is something that all of us will acknowledge. And the observation was that they love Nevis. But as they went about the hotel and they were so impressed with the Four Seasons Resort, the service, the quality of what we offer here in Nevis. But they said they did not see many people who looked like them. And I thought that was an interesting observation. Because ordinarily when we look at tourism, we simply welcome whoever comes. But the tourism that we've had in Nevis for many years has been an affluent, largely white tourist who has come largely from the eastern seaboard of the United States. And so that observation stuck with me. And I recall we had dinner and we were brainstorming, and we said, well, what could we do to get Nevis better known within the affluent African American market? We have so many wealthy African Americans all along the eastern seaboard of the United States, in New York, in New Jersey, in Connecticut. How do we get them to know about Nevis? Because the African American travel market is worth billions of dollars annually. But in the Caribbean, they go largely, they flock to Jamaica, they flock to the Bahamas, they're now going to Turks and Caicos, and we're seeing a trickle now going to Anguilla. But in large measure, they are not aware of us here on the island of Nevis. And so we set about brainstorming. And I want to publicly commend Mrs. Carter, because she has not been paid a penny by us, but just on the basis that she fell in love with this island, she said, you know what, I'm going to use my connections and contacts to help. I want more African Americans to experience what I've experienced, which is the charm of this beautiful island. And so through that relationship and through ongoing dialogue and conversation with myself, with the Nevis Tourism Authority, we have come up with the idea that we will name Candy Carter our ambassador for diversity. And we say diversity because we want to encourage other people, other groups to come to Nevis. And let me tell you, long before we did that, Mrs. Carter has been delivering in spades for Nevis. She has already sent so many people here. I would have reported that we led a large team, including taking a band, the Ivy Band, to Tenerife in Spain, where this very large group of wealthy African Americans called the Brooklyn Guardsmen, they had their retreat. And I remember speaking to one of them and saying, it's such a great crowd. And he laughed and he said, how does it feel to be in the presence of 600 millionaires? That was a large group of very affluent African Americans, people who holiday all around the world, who own real estate all around the world, who have business all around the world. And Nevis partnered with them in Spain, Tenerife, part of an island that is governed by Spain. And we were able to bring nevis to them. We did some very interesting things, and partnering with the Four Seasons, we were able to offer a giveaway of, all expenses, trip, etc. We had a beautiful scarf that was specially designed for the Nevis Tourism Authority. We had the beautiful charm bracelet that had been designed exclusively for Nevis. We did so much with them, and I can tell you that that was entirely made possible by Mrs. Carter and her husband, who intervened to introduce us to the necessary people and for us to partner in such a significant way with the Guardsmen. As a consequence of that, I can tell you that while we were in Tenerife, people who were there from that group were coming to me and telling me that they are already online booking to come to Nevis and to go to the Four Seasons in particular. And some have already come. In fact, we had a husband and wife who came 2 months ago, and they're now coming back because the husband, who's an investor, is bringing now some other investors, a group with him, to come now to look at some options here on Nevis. Mrs. Carter also insisted that some friends of hers, former NFL player Nate Burleson, and Nate Burleson is now on the Today Show co-hosting with Gail King, and Nate and his wife Atoya came to visit. I was able to take them for dinner, and again we had that conversation. What could we do together? Atoya then said that in the NFL we have, of course, athletes who move around. Sometimes they're playing in New York, next season or 2-3 seasons after that they may be playing in California, and so their families are constantly moving. So she has come up with something called the Ladies Playbook, which is really designed to provide support for NFL wives in terms of adjusting, she herself of course being a wife of a former NFL player. And so again, the NFL Players Association, a very wealthy enclave of largely African American, but a very wealthy enclave of people, athletes who are highly paid, and their spouses and their families. And so again, in partnership with the NTA, Atoya Burleson arranged for, I believe it was 10 NFL wives to accompany her for 3-4 days here at the Four Seasons at what they call Ladies Playbook Retreat. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, the press that they've generated has been incredible. The social media postings, and I want to thank the NTA, the Nevis Tourism Authority. They do a lot of work without saying much. I want to thank them because they delivered in spades. I want to thank the Four Seasons Resort and Billy Cueto, the general manager, because he has been a solid partner. I want to thank Atoya Burleson and her team because all of them came together, coalesced, and did a really fantastic job to deliver an incredible experience to these ladies. And these ladies are overjoyed. They've created videos, they're posting on Instagram, they're posting on their social media platforms. They have did a podcast which they taped here where they interacted with various women on the island, and they're hoping to air that sometime in the near future. But what I think is interesting is that when one of the ladies is going to say to me that she is she's coming back with her husband for a getaway. Another lady said that she was already booked to get married in another island, and she's now so sorry that she had not discovered Nevis before. And they're now talking about couples retreats, bringing their families, because as we all know, the wives in large measure run the households, no matter what us men say. And so they pointed out the obvious to me. They said, we the wives are the ones who plan holidays and decide where the families go. And so we had a wonderful time. And that promotion, from going to Tenerife to inviting these folks here, to engaging with them, Mrs. Carter, Candy Carter, has been in the middle of all of that. And so we are very, very pleased to name her as our diversity ambassador, to work with us to achieve our goals of getting greater exposure for the island of Nevis in those demographics which thus far have been largely underserved. And we are seeing dividends, and we are hoping that we will see even greater dividends. We are certainly on a path here on the island of Nevis. I think those who are fair can see the manifestation of it. The quality of our infrastructure, the quality of our roads and electricity and water, the quality of the health care that we're offering, the quality of the jobs that are being created, the fact that our hotels now are going deeper into the season because they have guests deeper into the summer months. When you look around and you see all that we've done in terms of investment, I hope that a fair-minded Nevision will say, listen, this government really has a plan, and they're executing that plan. So I want to thank again Mrs. Carter, and I certainly look forward to working with her and her team and a vast network of connections that she has, having worked in television for decades. Let me move on. I made a very passionate plea that I refer to as an open letter to the Nevision people. And I targeted those Nevisians who are abroad. Some are visiting, but others, of course, could not. But not just Nevisians in the sense of those who are born here. Because we recognize that over the years so many Nevisians have left that we now have second and third and perhaps even fourth generation Nevisians born abroad. And my simple appeal was that it is time now for you to come home. Some may look at that and say, that's a very bold statement. Some may even look at it and laugh. But it's a very serious entreaty on behalf of this government that we want to see Nevisians abroad engage more with Nevis. And that means physically returning home. We would love that, and I'll explain in a moment. But it also means if you're not able to physically return home, that you look to Nevis for investment. You look to Nevis for development. I had a conversation with a very good friend of mine sometime maybe last year, and he indicated that he was looking at some real estate to buy in Florida. Does not live, he lives in another state. That he was looking to buy real estate in Florida. And he's a real estate investor, so he invests in real estate all across the US. And I said to him, using my Nevis language, I said, boy, you no shame how much horse you got all up and down America and you no got a full cub in Nevis? Because here he was in a position to invest. Investing in New York, investing in DC, investing in various places, and looking to invest even more in Florida. And he does not have a home in Nevis. He does not have an investment in Nevis. And when I pointed out that to him, he stepped back and he said, boy, you know, it's true. And so sometimes I think it's about engaging with our people. Because let's face it, so many of us have left for so long that for many Nevis is but a distant memory, and for the children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren, Nevis is no memory at all, because some of them have never even visited. I fervently believe that it is time for us to change that. It is time for us to say to our Nevisians in Manchester, in Leeds, in Leicester, those in Birmingham, those in London, wherever they are in the United Kingdom, to say to our Nevisians in the United States, especially those in places like New York and Florida, Washington, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, to say to our Nevisians in the U.S. Virgin Islands and the British Virgin Islands and St. Martin, that it is time for you and your descendants to look back at us and to look homewards, homebound. We want you to look at this island, look at opportunities that this island presents, and come help us build. Now, why did that occur to us? It occurred to us as a government that as we talk about a sustainable island state, that is the vision that has been talked about by the Honorable Prime Minister Dr. Drew. But we have often cast the discussion about a sustainable island state in the context of renewable energy, in the context of reform in the economy, agriculture, food security, etc. The bit that we have not paid any attention to is the human capacity, the human capital, the people that any country to develop needs. And I must tell you that I'm fascinated by the Bermuda model. Bermuda is one of the most affluent islands anywhere in the world. Bermuda is only 21 square miles, but Bermuda has 65,000 people living there. St. Kitts and Nevis is 104 square miles, 36 on Nevis, 68 on St. Kitts. And of that 104 square miles, or in that 104 square miles, we have a mere 50,000 people living. It means, therefore, that Bermuda, which is 1/5 the size of St. Kitts and Nevis, has more people than we do. They have about 15,000 more people than we do. And I have known for some time, but I believe that the recent census figures for St. Kitts and Nevis have confirmed in my mind that we cannot and will not be able to achieve sustainability unless we have a larger population and unless we can encourage people to live and work and contribute here on the island of Nevis and in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And so it occurs to me that it makes good sense that we appeal first and foremost to our people in the diaspora, and to say to those who would have gone abroad and who are now retired or retiring, guess what? Your retirement income will go a lot further here in Nevis than it will probably go for you where you are. For those who are not at that stage but have money that they can invest, we are saying there's an abundance of investment opportunity here in Nevis. For those who are younger, just starting out, looking for work, looking to start a business, we are saying again there's an abundance of opportunity here on the island of Nevis. Just at the cocktail reception that we had on Monday, I happened to be speaking to a young lady. She looked like she was 16, but she said no, she's a grown woman and she is a registered nurse, cardiac nurse, she said. And instantly it occurred to me, I said, but look how we have been struggling to find nurses. Would, for example, nurses who are out there be willing to come home and to contribute and to help us build Nevis? These, ladies and gentlemen, may sound to some as far-fetched or pie in the sky, but I'm laying out for you tonight what the vision is. And every facet and every phase of development starts with having a vision. And so we would like to encourage more of our people to come home. And when I say come home, I mean physically if they can, but I also mean come home in terms of their thinking, their orientation, their love, connection, and patriotism for this, the land of their birth or their ancestry. And so I penned this open letter because we will shortly sit and come up with a package of concessions that we hope that persons in diaspora would consider. We will also want to set up a specific unit which will deal with questions, because naturally people have questions. They've complained, for example, that some of the rules they're not clear about and things take too long. We're going to try to iron all that out. But the bottom line is, we want people at least to start to think about it. To think about it. And if you can't come right away, because we understand you have obligations where you are, that's your home, New York, London, but perhaps you can start to come and spend some time. not just a holiday, but come and see for yourself. When I see so many Nevisians here now, marveling at what they're seeing on this island, telling me some that they had not been here for many years and they can't believe. In fact, one lady called me and jokingly said that she had relatives who had arrived and that they got lost because with the road network now, they did not know where they were. So come and spend some time. And if you don't want to make the move immediately, that's okay. You ease into it. I use that as a springboard for another point that I want to make. All around the landscape of St. Kitts and Nevis, I will include our sister St. Kitts in this, we see abandoned houses. We see overgrown lots. We see properties that have been left to rot. Some may ask why. And the answer, I think, lies in large measure in our history of migration. Let us face it, and I think it's a matter of interest, that the last time that the population of St. Kitts and Nevis was just over 50,000 was in 1960. It fell to as low as 32 or 33,000 since then. We are now in this census just reported in 2024. That is some 64 years later, finally back at just over 50,000 again. So, just to put it in context, the last time we were at 50,000 people living in St. Kitts and Nevis was 1960, 64 years ago. It gives you a sense of how many people would have departed, migrated over the years. Now, when I look at it, you reflect. And you could just think about how many people you knew. The family homes. Many of them wooden homes because that is what we were accustomed to. That is what we had. And people who live there have passed on. The children have all migrated. Their children and their grandchildren have been born abroad. Nobody has looked back at the old family properties here. And so they've been left abandoned. A lot of times, the title to those properties is not clear. Because in those old days, people had a lot of children. So mama had 12 children. Some in New York, some in London, some in St. Croix. They can't decide what they're going to do with the property. And so the property is just left there to rot. That's not good for anyone. It's not good for Nevis and St. Kitts. But more than that, it's not good for you and your family because you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to be landowners and property owners in St. Kitts and Nevis. So one of the things that I'm also encouraging our people to do is to start to take an interest in what belongs to you and your family. Start to sort it out. A lot of time people say, well, you know, concerned about that. A lot of people worry about that. But it's your property. And even if you're going to sell it or do something with it, but please don't allow the properties to continue to just be in a state of disrepair, to be overgrown and create on the island an unsightly appearance. And they're all over. Even there in the heart of Charlestown, you see abandoned properties. And it's not that they don't have owners. But a lot of those owners, as I say, are in the diaspora because it's now for the children and grandchildren to sort things out. It is not too complicated to do. And so I urge you to get involved and to look at some of those properties. How do you develop them? How do you restore them? How do you create a family home so that whoever visits from the family, they have a place that they can stay? When they're not staying there, you have the bed and breakfast, what they call it, Airbnb now. That is very popular where people can actually earn money from renting out accommodation that is here. It's a win-win-win It's a win for you. It's a win for your country, your island, and it's a win naturally for us who are here back home. And so when I said I want our people to know that it is time to come home, it's because I genuinely believe it is. The circumstances that existed in Nevis in 1960s and 70s, the 1980s, even the 1990s, those circumstances no longer exist. People now are making it right here on this island, taking advantage of opportunities that are here. Look at the quality of homes that ordinary individuals are building. Look at what people here, ordinary individuals, are driving. Quality of cars, quality of homes. Look at the island and what is happening here. There's some people on this island who are working 2 and 3 jobs if they want to, because the opportunities for jobs exist. And if you wanted any evidence of the progress that was being made here, you simply have to look at the number of non-nationals. Many of them are Caribbean brothers and sisters who are moving to the island of Nevis and bringing with them their whole family. I met some siblings recently from the Windward Islands, and they said all of them are here and they're only now making arrangements for their parents to come. We know because we went to other people's countries too. And the reason we moved was to better our circumstances. And equally, we're now saying that there's an opportunity for others to come to better their circumstances. But people do not travel or migrate to countries where there's no opportunity. People go where there's opportunity. So the mere fact that people are coming and coming in numbers suggests that Nevis has ample opportunity here for economic advancement. And so if people can come from around the Caribbean who have no history, no foundation, no ancestry in Nevis, but simply hear that there are jobs there, let us go get them. Well, why can't Nevisians come home? Why can't you, the children and grandchildren, say, hey, let us pool our resources, fix up the house in Barnsgate, fix up the house in Jessops, fix up the house in Churchground, and we have a place that is our own, that our forebears would have worked hard. And notwithstanding our simple and sometimes difficult circumstances, all of us, as I like to say, came out of poverty. No matter you see some people now driving a nice car, have a nice home, all of us endured poverty on this island because things were hard. We did not know because all of us were in the same boat. But as you now look back with the benefit of what you have now and the Nevis that we have now, you look back and you realize there was a time in Nevis when there was no electricity. People got water from the standpipe. No vehicles, no transportation, no lights, no street lights. No airport. They had a grass strip at one point. The quality of homes wasn't there. People used to sleep on what they call it, wara, grass, outside latrine. For the young people, that's a toilet. That's how we used to live. And many people fled from that hard life and said, boy, let me go to New York and England, go try my luck over there because things in Nevis are rough. I am saying that I understand. But those conditions are not now the conditions in modern Nevis. And as I mentioned earlier, people from around our region and elsewhere are coming here and saying, this is where I want to be. This is a land full of opportunity. I want to see some of our own people do the same. apply for your citizenship. Under our constitution, you can get citizenship if you were born here, if one of your parents was born here, or if one of your grandparents was born here. So you have 3 generations, so to speak, that you can get citizenship through. So there is that opportunity, and I am urging and encouraging our people to at least to start to think about it. I say lastly on that topic, that the outside world that we flocked to in years past is getting more difficult. We see xenophobia, racism, war, conflict. We see all of those escalating in many of the countries that we would have gravitated to in the past. We have an election that will happen in November in the United States. Nobody knows what will happen. Whether the Democrats will prevail or the Republican nominee, Mr. Donald Trump, former President Trump, will prevail. What does an America look like after November? If there's a Republican administration led by Donald Trump, what does that mean for you? If there's a Democratic administration led by the presumptive nominee, Kamala Harris, what does that mean for you? From where I sit, looking on from a distance, I am seeing a United States which is so polarized and divided that however the election in November goes, half of the country will not agree. And so, how do you, Kittians and Nevisians, see yourself in that mix now? Do these far off lands still represent for you the land of milk and honey and opportunity? Someone said to me recently that they live in New York, and they said if they must confess, it has been a struggle. And I said, why? And they said, well, they went there, and the type of work that they could get and the type of work that they've been doing has been largely menial work. They have not had an opportunity to go to university or to do anything of that nature, and so they've been working. They said furthermore, they had an opportunity to go there, and they went there in an irregular way. They got in on a visitor's visa and they stayed. So they've been there for over a decade, but they've been there illegally, working in these jobs, paying rent, struggling with their bills. And I said to them, do you think that you are better off having moved to New York? You're there, your status is uncertain, and you're working in jobs that will never pay you enough for you to elevate yourself. And the lady told me she often wonders herself, because as she put it, to use her language, she went up to the States and she get a knockabout up there. And I reflected, because I said, speaking for myself, if I can get knockabout, I prefer to get knockabout in my own country than to go to somebody else's country to get knockabout. It may sound crude of me to put it that way, but I believe that people who are listening understand the sentiment that I'm expressing. And I'm saying to you that if there's your line of work, for example, in the United States, is you're a hotel worker. You work in restaurants, you work in the hotel trade, you work in certain kinds of jobs, you're in health care, you are, in care for the elderly. All of those opportunities exist right here in Nevis. So it is not impossible to think that you can transfer yourself and your skill set, but do it in your home. So, I believe that we will have more conversations about this. I think it is something that is worthy of further ventilation. Let me say one other thing, because whilst we have been in a mood of welcoming persons and enjoying each other's company, I was forced to go back to the courts on Tuesday, of this week, in order to see whether or not Dr. Patricia Bartlett, who took me to court, having lost the election twice, because she lost the federal election in June of 2022. Was it June? I think so, June or August, I can't remember now, but she lost that election. And then she came back in the local election in December and she lost that one as well. It wasn't even close. I believe she lost by over 140 something votes. Dr. Bartlett decided that she would sue me, and she claimed that there were certain electoral irregularities. I have no problem with that. The courts are there for all of us, and that's where we go to settle disputes. However, she and her lawyers did not do what was necessary. And the law as it relates to election petitions is very clear. When the matter came on, because naturally, I instructed the leading law firm of Daniel Brantley, and I asked them, knowing the law as I do, to seek to apply to strike out this petition as being bad in law. We filed a strikeout application, and I'm just dealing with my situation with Dr. Bartlett. There was a separate situation involving Mr. Spencer Brand, where his opponent J.D. Keynes also sued him. Both petitions were struck out as being bad, and there were so many procedural irregularities that they could not be cured. Now, what I find instructive is that Dr. Bartlett was represented by the law firm that is Hector and Nisbet. That is Mr. Elhansville Hector and Mr. Patrice Nisbet. They have other lawyers with them at that firm as well. I think that's the firm where Smarty Nisbet is, Eustace Nisbet, and that's the firm where young Sandra Hector is as well. When the matter came on, there were lots of lawyers. Astafan, King's Counsel, all kinds of lawyers were involved. But the judge who was presiding asked a pertinent question, and that had to do with the procedural errors. And the lawyers for Dr. Bartlett conceded. I want to make that point clear, that her lawyers conceded that her petition was bad in law. There was therefore only one consequence, and that is that the petition had to be struck out. In relation to the petition for J.D. Keynes, she was represented by a woman called Angela Cozier, and she fought and fought, but at the end her petition was incurably bad and had to be struck out. J.D. Keynes then appealed, first to the single judge, then to the full court, and has been rejected at each step. In the case of Pat Bartlett, Dr. Patricia Bartlett, let me address her properly, she never even bothered to appeal because her lawyers conceded. In open court, they said, yes, we agree. this petition is bad, it can't go forward. So she did not even bother to appeal. She had a right to appeal, she did not exercise that right. And so the only other step then was the question of costs. Now I was forced to hire lawyers. Lawyers don't come free. They brought their lawyers. I had to hire lawyers. I did not sue anybody. I was sued. And all kinds of allegations were made about me, saying I decide that I thief election and all kind of foolishness. Well, as I said, everybody has a right to come to court. But her lawyers in the court conceded that they had no case, that procedurally they had so many errors that they could not move forward. And that having been conceded, they did not bother to even try to appeal. So the only issue then is the issue of costs. We put in a bill of costs seeking an amount, and Dr. Bartlett came to court, and through the lawyers back and forth they agreed, I believe, that the cost should be somewhere in the order of about $65,000. That again was an agreed position, meaning she said this is what I can pay, and we said okay. That was since February of 2024. March come, April come, May come, June come, July come, and tomorrow is August. And Dr. Bartlett did not pay 1 red cent. And so I had no choice. I had to go back to court now and say to the court, well, we have a consent order that I'm owed this money, and the good lady has not paid a penny. I have to pay lawyers, I have expenses, I was dragged through this process. What is the position? And so that matter came on Tuesday, and again through a process with the lawyers, Dr. Bartlett agreed that she would pay $15,000 by the end of the day, Tuesday, and thereafter she'll pay $1,000 a month until the debt is liquidated. I see a whole heap of commentary and noise being made, cussing me, cussing. Dr. Bartlett went even so far now to be dragging my daughter, who has nothing to do with her, into this. Disparaging me, disparaging my daughter. And I look at it, and I'm going to make a political statement now. And it's a statement that I think all of us should take to heart insofar as our lives are concerned. It's not everybody who say hoots gonna stand up with you when the fight start. I want us to reflect on that. A lot of fellows out there right now in jail, or they down there in the Britannic, or they down there in Springfield Cemetery, because they listen to the hoots and they jump in, and then when they look behind, the fellow who's saying hoots is not there with them. Dr. Bartlett was encouraged, was built up. She had a lot of people saying hoots, hoots, hoots. But you know what struck me on Tuesday? She sat alone in that courthouse. She and she alone. Not one of those who have been telling her hoots was there to even provide moral support. Not one. Her party leader wasn't there. None of her fellow candidates were there. None of these chatterboxes on social media and on radio were there. Not one martel, as the old people would say, was in that court to support Dr. Bartlett. Not one. And in discussions, she's saying, well, she was trying to raise money. She was trying to raise money, but she wasn't able to raise the money. And so I asked the question tonight. If it is that Dr. Bartlett belongs to a party, the NRP, and if it is that all of them, the leader and everybody, was saying hoots, hoots, Pat, hoots, and they sent poor Pat into the court to fight a battle that she had no hope of winning, because Pat knows she lose the election. There was no ifs, ands, buts or maybes about that. To send her into the court to fight when she lose the fight. And she looked behind, she looked left, she looked right, she peeped over the wall. Not one mortal she see. All of them who saying, yes, Pat, get him, Pat, Pat, yes, punch him, Pat, hoots, hoots, hoots. Not one of them was around to say, Pat, here's $5 to help you out of the situation. You hear what I tell you? They did not even show up to provide moral support for Dr. Bartlett. She sat there alone and lonely. Now I lead a party, the Concerned Citizens Movement. And I can say tonight, without any reservation, that if that were my party, with one of my candidates, that as the leader, I would be there. I would be involved. I would be assisting. And my party would be asked to assist, because this is one of ours. And you know, as I reflected on it, I said to myself, I wonder if the NRP is not secretly saying, Pat, take that. A CCM you be. Everybody know Pat is CCM? Pat, take that. A CCM you be. So you go face the music by yourself. While the chorus is there. The chorus. Get him. Cuss him. Cuss his family. Cuss his daughter. Cuss them. But when push come to shove, and there is now an obligation, not one of them is anywhere to be found. I think that this is a lesson for all of us, yeah? Sometimes you have to let good sense prevail. Them say it's company that make crab lose him head. Sometimes you follow company, the crowd raising you up, telling you, oh yes, yes. But them who are make noise in the crowd, not one of them gonna give you $1. Not one of them. I see a lot of them have taken to social media to say all kind of things. They're casting all kinds of aspersions. But what I have not heard any of them say is that I'm going to give Dr. Bartlett $10 to help her. Not one of them has said that. She and all jump on social media. She called me parasite. She called me all kind of name. But it ain't really trouble to me what she called me. When she pay me my money, we good. So she could call me what she want. But when she cussing me and cussing my daughter, all of them chiming in. But not one of them chime in and say, girl, I'm sending your check. I'm going to help you with the situation. Tal, the only thing they're willing to help her with is to cuss and attack. Because a lot of people out there who like to say hoots. But when the fight start and you're getting your tail part broke in, not a soul there to help you. And that was my takeaway from that court proceeding on Tuesday. Dr. Bartlett sat there alone and lonely. Nobody, not one soul showed up even to lend moral support. Sometimes when people push you into things and you jump in, when you look behind, them not there with you. Them home a lap the foot pan them landing. And based on what I hear, one of them boiling the most rum in nevis. He home a drink rum that he just boiled. So them not in there with you. And all of us can take a lesson from that. Stop follow company. Stop letting people force us to do foolishness. Because when push comes to shove, we are left alone holding the bag. I'm going to leave that there as culturama. I'm done with the politics now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is On The Mark. I've been speaking for 1 hour and 20 minutes. I have a lot more that I could talk about, but I recognize that there may be some out there, even those who are headed to the ball at MGR Park that started at 9, it goes until 2, and those who might be headed over to Herbert's Beach. They may want to call from their car, 469-1616, 469-1700. Those are the numbers to call if you want to be a part of this show, this evening, this Wednesday, On The Mark. And for those who are just tuning in, my name is Mark Brantley. I happen to be the Premier of Nevis at this point, but I have been the host of this show long before I became Premier. And I am usually here on a Wednesday from 8 to 10 with you. Let's go to the phones then and take some calls and say good evening. You're On The Mark.
Miss Sheriff, good night.
How are you, my dear?
I'm good.
What's up?
Don't forget me money, because me don't hear about it. Me had that family to tell you about. Ezekiel 36 verse 26 and 27. A new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit will I put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and I will give you an heart of flesh. And I will put my spirit within you, and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgment and do them. I was talking about I hear getting your money, so I was reminding you what about Michelle. I don't know if anybody gonna call in like me.
Well, everybody,
have a wonderful night.
Thank you, my dear.
For the culture.
Thank you, and you enjoy the culture too. And thank you for the scripture. The number of people who telling me they want drink, they want share, they want all kind of thing. I don't even know how this thing gonna work out.
Well, let me first call, you know.
Your first call, you say?
Let me first tell you about that, and then we realize everybody behind.
All right, my dear. Thank you very much for the call. I certainly appreciate it. We are 20 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock, and we're taking your phone calls. Remember, tonight we have the homecoming ball that's happening at the MGR. If you feel like really putting on your heels and going and dancing the night away, that's where you need to be. And if you feel like putting on your shorts and going over to Herbert's Beach, all of those functions are happening tonight. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're On The Mark.
Mark, good evening.
Good evening to you.
Okay, Mark, I want to ask a question because I don't know to read and write, but I have good understanding. I want to know what you call adult and what you call children. What is the number for adults and what is the number for children?
All right, so normally children would be viewed as people who are, there are two measures. One is under 16, one is under 18, because at 16 you can do certain things and at 18 you can do certain things. But once you're over 18, you are considered an adult.
Okay, thank you, Mark. The question, why I asked that question, my grandson went to the show last night. I take my grandson, and when I go there, I tell them I need a child ticket for my grandson. They ask me where to show them my grandson. The woman watch it me and tell me $50 for me grandson. And my grandson is in second farm. And my grandson is a sports child.
So did they have a special price for children?
But that is why I asked him. She said, I want to know if he is an adult. That is why I asked the question. I want to know what is the number of the age adult
Right.
and what is the age child.
Okay. So I've answered you, but I'm saying that it may be that they just had one price for everybody rather than having a price for children. I don't know.
Tell me that, but when I stand up there, I see she sell a lady a ticket for 25.
Okay, well, that's not right then.
And I have to buy a ticket for $50 for me grandchild to get into the show. That is not right, Mark.
Okay.
My grandson is a school child. He work nowhere.
Okay. All right. Now, I understand your complaint, but I do not understand. I do not know what the ticket policy was. I don't know if Abernathy or any of them are out there listening and they can call in and just clarify that, because I understand why you would be concerned. But usually at some shows, for example, they say if you're under 12, they may have a rule, you see. If you're under 12, you pay this. If you're over 12, you pay that.
Yes,
that kind of thing. So
I understand.
So
I tell you,
right.
I don't know to read and write, but I got good understanding.
Well, so I would not know how to answer because I don't know what the policy is. So that's why I'm saying it would be useful if somebody can call in.
If they did add a board up, I could be able to dry it out. But they did not enough. I stand up there and see they sell a $25 ticket for a child.
Okay.
And I got me grandchild. He's in second farm. So you want to tell me my grandchild is an adult?
Okay. All right. I hear you clearly. I understand the question and the concern. But as I said, I don't have the answer. So I'm hopeful if somebody from out there, the Culturama Committee, I know you're listening, please call in and clarify this for my friend who's on the line, because I also know that others may have that question. So thank you very much for calling.
Thank you, Mark.
All right. And it was good to see you dancing up a storm.
Okay, thank you, Mark.
All right. And as I mentioned, this call and dancing up a storm, I recognize the voice well. She has a very distinctive voice. But I want to publicly thank the Glory Light Tabernacle. I hope I have it correct. Right there in church ground. They celebrated their 14th anniversary last Sunday, and I went to two churches on Sunday morning. I went to the Methodist Church in Gingerland because several families were having reunions. You had I think the Ward family, the Prentice family, and another family. I'm not sure which one now, but several families, and I attended that. And then I had to leave a little early because I went to the Glory Light Tabernacle 14th celebration. And boy, that was something. That was really something. Wonderful celebration. So to Apostle Linden, Providence, and the team, thank you for having me. And keep laboring in the Lord's vineyard. What you're doing is absolutely welcomed and appreciated. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good night, Admiral Mark. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good evening to you. How are you?
Yeah, all right, so far.
Mm-hmm.
I am cranking up for the Calypso show.
Yes.
I think it's going to be a great Calypso show because I listen to a lot of the Calypso and have good music.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear looking to attend. When is the Calypso show? What day?
Friday.
Friday is Calypso show.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I was listening to you earlier on about the young lady supposed to pay back her money. I like everything that you say about friends. Always put you into things and you're following them, and then you always be alone when problems finish.
Mm-hmm.
They don't help you.
Yep.
You're not even, you're gone to prison, you don't see your friends come visit you. All of those things has happened. Yes. But Honorable Mark, I looking out for Saturday gonna be what do you call it?
Saturday is the international show.
Saturday morning. During the day.
Saturday during the day?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what's happening during the day.
Food fair.
Oh, food fair. Thank you. So the food fair is happening on Saturday during the day.
Food fair now. Brother Mark, I looking out for some banana fritters and me looking for no conky, but if I get conky, I will glad to get some, but along, as it's a cultural day. you're supposed to see all of these banana fritters and conky showing up to these booths. And I come up here and I see anything as yet.
What do you mean you didn't see anything? You didn't see you and they had up to today the Heritage Village said they had all the local food in the world.
I was out there, rain falling.
Yeah, the rain came a little late in the afternoon, but it started since this morning. You didn't go at all?
Nah.
Because they had some big crowds over there. Well, you know, in terms of local food, you could try some of the local spots. You could go by Mem's, Rodney's. Any of those places would have local food at this time. Right? But certainly on Saturday, you should have all the local food you could want. If you want cook up, bullfoot, goat water, fritters, Johnny cake, fry fish, all of that will be done at the food fair on Saturday.
Oh, my brother Mac, I came over here and I look at Nevis. Man, it surprised me, man, the road and the Malcolm Beach area.
Mm-hmm.
It's really for tourism and local, the beach.
So you were able to go down to the Pinnis Beach area where the bars and restaurants are?
Yeah, it was there. I put it down there also.
And what is your impression?
Man, I tell you, it's great. Really great. And the stretch of the road, man, I tell you, if people, you know, who visit here, they will tell you what I'm telling the same way. Man, it's a difference in Nevis.
Well, I'm very happy to hear that because we've been really working hard, you know, and you know what I love about a lot of what you see here, a lot of it was done by us, meaning our own workers. The project down at Pinnis, that was done by the Taiwanese because that was negotiated with them. But the roads that you're seeing, etc., is all done by Public Works. We have only contracted out roads when Public Works has been busy. So we have really upped the ante in terms of what we have been trying to do to develop the island. And I'm happy to hear it because, you know, sometimes because we are living on the island, we see the work going on, and then by the time the work finishes, we start to drive on the road and we say, man, that is nothing. But when you come from overseas and you haven't been here for a year or two, and then you see the transformation, I think you get a better sense of the progress that is being made. So I'm happy to hear. Have you been able to go to the hot bath?
No, I didn't get the chance, so I just, my friend just drive me by. And also, what I was really impressed is the area where you own your home and how it set out the road between the houses.
Right.
Well done.
Yeah, anytime we're doing housing in Nevis, we put in infrastructure. So when you go to Madden's, you go wherever you go to the housing developments, you'll see that for the most part we have the infrastructure in already. Where we have not yet put in infrastructure, we have some areas like University Heights. Some of the newer areas we are working on putting in that infrastructure. So that's how we do it over here. It's costly, but at the end we want our people to be comfortable.
Man, listen, my friend tell me must drive, but I tell him, man, I will get lost.
Mm-hmm.
I will get lost. So many roads in and out, man. I tell him, let me get accustomed to the place, then I could go drive it. But I have to thank my friend who make me feel like a tourist, carrying me to the place. And your friend Cargo.
Yes.
He tell me I have to come back there and get some goat water.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Yeah, my friend take me down there. And we had a good chit chat.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really good. Which I looking out for the Calypso show and the food day. With my Calypso favorite is This and That. He has some nice song.
He have a song that he firing some shots. I don't know how we're gonna end up, but he's he definitely firing some shots.
Yes, man. Listen, let me tell you something. A lot of visitors up here. I enjoy the grease pole there.
The which there?
Grease pole, the grease pole.
Oh, okay. Oh, man, I'm afraid of that. I wonder all the time how them youngsters get at the end of that pole to get that ham, you know? I afraid of that though.
When this white guy,
Uh-huh.
he gets 2 hams.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
So what he do?
A Rasta white guy get 2 of the ham. He slide across there like a plane.
So he what they do? Slide, they walk, what they do it?
Well, some of them walk across and stumble and drop in the water. But this white guy, like this Rasta white guy, he just slide across. You know, and he get it 2 ham.
He get it 2 ham.
Yeah, and a young guy now, for the talk, he just balanced off, but the talkie was stapled so hard. And he had to hold on and pull. The thing was stapled so hard that he had to jerk off the ham off the phone.
Well, that sounds like some good fun, man.
Yeah,
really
man.
The
swimming was nice, you know.
Wonderful.
Listen, some of these swimmers, they could practice to go Olympic, you know.
Well, yes, well, some of them, we have a young man at the Olympics now, Troy Nisbet, the very first swimmer from St. Kitts and Nevis. He's in Paris at the moment, young division, and we are hopeful that he can perform well, but he has already made history being the very first swimmer from St. Kitts and Nevis to go to the Olympics. But we also have a lot of youngsters here, and the next big project that we want to do is to create an Olympic pool for them. Because swimming is becoming a major sport in Nevis as well. So we have a lot to do. There's always, as you know, work to do. So we are working, and we're working to a plan, and we're getting there piece by piece and over time. It can't happen, as you know, development takes time, but we are working our way through. All right?
Yeah, man, I up there I came in on Friday.
Right.
You know, enjoying the time, you know, seeing the place, and as again, I hope all the visitors see how Nevis look, layout, the road layout, you know, things good. But I ain't gonna hold up the phone and let somebody else call in. I'm here listening. Glad that you come on today. I'm surprised that I hear you on tonight.
Yeah, well,
I say you wasn't coming on tonight,
well,
because I feel like always culturama, you might have take a break.
Yeah, well, they weren't streaming any shows on Von Radio tonight, so that's why I've come on tonight. Last week they were streaming a show, so I couldn't, you know, they were bringing the show live, so I didn't want to interfere with that. But I decided to come tonight because part of the reason is I wanted to again welcome our people home. So all like you, welcome home, brother. Good to hear you.
Well, I enjoyed the night of the steel pan.
Yes.
Also, man, I admire them youngsters. They had a small little one.
Yes.
Let me tell you. I said, what? The pan bigger than the, but the little one was jamming.
Well, you know, we teach pan in the schools as well, so a lot of the youngsters are coming through that system, you know. And we have some people here who are doing some great work, Junior Paris and others, who are doing some really excellent work teaching pan. So there's a lot of pan playing in Nevis. As a matter of fact, when they have panorama in St. Kitts, you tend to have more bands from Nevis than St. Kitts in the competition. So we are doing well in different areas. So thank you, my brother, and continue to enjoy Nevis. This is your home. Continue to love it and enjoy it.
All right, honorable.
All right, take good care. All right, we have about, let's see, 25 minutes or so left, and we're taking your calls. 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. Like I say, if you're on your way to the ball at the MGR Park, or you're on your way to Herbert's Beach, please call in. We want to hear your impressions. We want to know how you feel about Nevis, especially if you're home and you haven't been home for a while. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening to you.
Happy culture to all the people here.
Thank you very much.
In Nevis and St. Kitts. For Van Radio, I would like to suggest something. All of the skits them that they used them perform last night, that they were recorded throughout the year, repeated throughout the year. I think they could expose their talent and give them an inspiration to consider a field in acting. I was impressed last night with them from this distance over in the French Caribbean. And number two, I want to condemn my government and their silence for the bloodshed in Gaza and the bloodshed in Sudan. We are people of morality. We don't have no money, we don't have no military, but we have a moral conscience. And we cannot say that we be looking the other way when so much of our families are being gunned down and bloody, and we don't need leaders for no concern. Terrence, you're sleeping, you lost consciousness. Where we go from here? We are just puppet to who? The white supremacists? We are black people, our blood is being shed and we are silent about that. I want to condemn that silence, because if we were following any God, the mouth would be open. Number two, I mean, this should be the Christian society, and I be more on the fact that none of the pastors, I don't know. I've tried to mediate in the issue with you and the opponent. We say the Christian people. We say Christ is the Christ of forgiveness. Where is the preachers them to come and make a middle ground, negotiate, and say bury the act. They will move forward in good faith. They will stop the down name calling. They will move forward and build a country together. We are there.
Well, caller, let me just interrupt a second. Why do you think that they need to intervene in a situation which, to my mind, is because a common sense situation?
They say that they are the voice of the Almighty.
Yes,
and
yes.
If they are the voice of the Almighty and not intervene in all issues, they are the voice of the devil who was silent and keeping the partial tongue in the mouth.
Yeah, but I'm saying that there are some issues which I think are common sense issues. This is not an issue where...
Is above yesterday, the God, which issue is above is out of the realm. Which issue?
No, just hear me out. If you have an issue where parties have a dispute and the parties go to the court to resolve their dispute, and they are able to resolve, because the dispute has been resolved, the court has resolved the dispute. The parties went to court and the lawyers consented to various things. But what is that for the clergy to involve themselves in? So everything, if you and I hold on, caller. So if you and I have an argument, if you and I have an agreement, you're gonna buy a piece of land from me, and you pay me half the money, and then you pay the other half, and we end up in court fighting over that. The church must intervene in that.
They could.
But I'm saying
they don't have a role in that. They have a role.
But what is their role? So every dispute,
try and find a middle ground between you and the man, and make sure that he pays you according to his word. That is what they do. They have some kind of authority over if you go in church. You should say, they call the man, you pay the man for the day? Well, let's go down and pay the man. Let's give us the money, let me go and pay the man. They could.
Don't
tell me that the Christian church will pick up. We all having such high esteem, cannot do nothing to mediate. And even when we have conflict,
I'm not
in politics.
But I'm not saying that the church cannot do. I'm simply saying that where there is an established mechanism for resolving disputes, which has been engaged and has been successfully engaged, I'm not sure what role the court has. If that is the role the church has, I'm sorry. If that is the case, then the church would be down there every day, all day, sitting down by the courthouse.
And they will have both parties negotiating outside. They won't have to go to court. They will say, come and negotiate in good faith with me.
So we would abolish the court system?
Finish it in no time.
So we would abolish...
People recognize the authority of the Supreme and then act accordingly.
So we would abolish the court, you think?
Eh?
We would abolish the courts then. We wouldn't need them anymore.
Mr. Mark Brantley, I'm not making the suggestion. Please don't put no word in my mouth.
I'm asking a question. I just asked the question. I didn't put any words in your mouth.
I'm equally intelligently as a lawyer. Because what's the way you're trying to put in my mouth?
Lord have mercy. If I ask you a question, I put nothing in your mouth. You ask a question to be made wise.
And I'd like to send condolences for my good friend, Mother Sandra Prentice. That's what made me a good friend. I'd like to hear Mother Transcend.
Yes.
And Sandra, hope you go over that and all the family there. And help all my family and the people who know me over in Nevis and his thing is good.
Alright.
Good culturama for y'all, and I really miss Mr. Ski telling that when we going over culturama in this time, I used to feel proud when he tell me go out and explain to the people on the boat what happened here in 1967 or 71. And he really put a lot of trust in knowing my knowledge and history. And Winston Ski and your family good night. Delwa, everybody. Yes,
All right.
you know.
Okay.
Give thanks.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you for your call. We have maybe about 16 or 17 minutes left, so we can take a few calls. Again, the numbers are 869-469-1616, 869-469-1700. I know that people are on their way to the homecoming ball at the MGR Park, and people are on their way to Herbert's Beach. I am asking, as I have been asking, for you to party responsibly, drive safely on the roads. Please do not speed, especially it's been raining a bit. And please, I'm begging you, do not drink and drive. That's very important. Let me again remind the public that tomorrow, Thursday, is a half holiday on Nevis. So businesses and stores will close at midday. In the morning at 9, we have the Christina Memorial. And that is, of course, a ceremony that we have every year on August 1st to remember those who passed on the MV Christina on the 1st of August 1970, some 54 years ago. That will be right there by Hamilton House along the Hunkins Drive. We encourage all who are home to turn out and pay their respects. I'm pretty sure that some of you who are visiting would have lost loved ones on the Christina. So we have the memorial service tomorrow, and then in the afternoon we have the children's parade for Culturama through town, 50th anniversary of Culturama, and that is why we had the half day tomorrow. On tomorrow night we have the Soca Monarch competition at the village. On Friday night we have the Kaiso competition in the cultural complex, and of course on Saturday we have the food fair, and Saturday night we have the Emancipation concert at the village. On Sunday night we're going to have the Miss Culture Queen show at the complex, and then on Monday night we have the Caribbean Queen show. Monday, if I recall correctly, is when we have Juve. I hope I have that right, Monday morning. So everybody, of course, is going to be in the long jam coming from town, and I think Odyssey and those bands will be coming from the St. James area. I think they may be starting somewhere around Pinnies, but the crowd will be coming down and everybody's going to meet up in town for the Juve. I am hopeful. I've been trying my best to get myself in shape. I don't know what shape I'll be in by Monday, but I'm hopeful that I'm good enough to at least come down the hill with the band. So I want people to look out for me in the band. I'm not going to be doing anything other than chip, chip, chip coming down the road. But Casanova is going to be on the road. Core is going to be on the road coming down from Gingerland. And so we look forward to a massive crowd coming behind those bands. I want you to go out and support. They're all selling packages. Core is selling packages. Gabriella is selling packages. Casanova is going to be on the road. I think it's going to be a wonderful time. And again, I'm urging our people, let us have an accident and incident-free Culturama 50. We have 15 minutes left, and we're taking your calls. We're asking you, please, to call the numbers 469-1616 or 469-1700 if you want to be a part of the show this evening and before we wind down in this last 15 minutes. Now, as I indicated, and while I wait for the phones to ring, very happy to hear from this caller who's visiting, but who's Nevision, and who is giving us a first-hand experience of what he's seen on the island. He mentioned the roads, he mentioned the housing developments, and I'm encouraging people who are here, don't bother listen to Mark Brantley and whoever else is out there talking. You're here, go and see for yourself. Take a drive around. Let your family drive you around. Go by Madden's, see the housing development over there. Go up to University Heights, see what's happening up there. Go here at the top of Craddock Road, see what's happening. Go up to Hamilton, see what's happening. Go over here to Mountain, what's it called now? Chimney Crescent, that is over there by Cherry Gardens. See what's happening. Go and have a look at the Mondo track, where athletes can now practice, and ordinary people like myself can go there and walk and exercise in the mornings and in the evenings if we so desire. And we're now playing football games on the football pitch in the middle. Go and have a look for yourself. Go over to the water taxi facility. and see what we've created there in terms of a pier and reception area. When you're done with all that, go by the hot bath. Look at what has been happening there in terms of the transformation of that hot bath. Go up to the cultural complex. Go to the cultural village. Go down by Nipak. See what is being done on the island. Then, when you're done with all that, go down to the MGR Park, the Malcolm Gishard Recreational Park. Then when you leave the park, go down to Pinnis Beach. See the businesses that have invested. Look at the infrastructure that's in. All of this I can point you to. Drive across to St. James, Newcastle, and see the new police and fire station. Look around the island, you see the CCTV installation with the CCTV command center in town. Do you know now we have a state-of-the-art 911 system, emergency dispatch system on the island? Do you know for the first time at the hospital we have brand new ambulances? Unprecedented, never happened before. We got 2 at one time. Do you know we now have a state-of-the-art CT scan, 128 slice Philips, brand new machine at our hospital? In fact, just a few days ago I saw a big announcement from St. Kitts that they have now taken delivery of a CT scan machine, and it's the same machine that Nevis has. So they have now seen the value in investing in that same machine, the 128 slice Philips CT scan machine. Do you know we now offer state-of-the-art mammogram services at the hospital? The unfinished hospital expansion that has attracted so much attention, look at that too. Because you must see the scale and scope of what we're trying to do. It's not finished, but look at what we have done so far. So, drive around. Let nobody tell you. See for yourself. And then make up your mind as to whether or not Nevis is moving forward and progressing and developing. Let me go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Hey, Mark.
Yes, good evening.
Good night. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
But I know it's a dying moment of your show, boy, but I just have to get in. Job and Swanson here.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm calling on in regards to dramatic production that we would have had on the weekend that was very successful. 5 Star Follies, which is a play that would have been written by the great Amber Trott back in 1994, about 4 seasons. By popular demand, we have a number of requests, and so we are doing it one last time next week, Wednesday, the 7th of August. So we are encouraging everybody. Of course, culturama finishes on Tuesday, and so there is still some way to go on Wednesday. So using this medium to try and see how much persons we can get to come out to see it. It's going to be one last time we are doing it again. 5 Star Follies next week, Wednesday, 7:30 at Nipak.
7:30?
Yes.
At Nipak.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much for that. And 5 Star Follies, I think, as you say, written by Amber Trott. Remember that play from the old days. I think it involves some reference to 4 seasons.
That is right.
And set in that context. So yes, quite a fun comedic play.
It is a musical, so it's a lot of singing, lots of dancing, choreographed moves, and all that kind of stuff. Really something worth seeing.
Okay, good. So tell us again when it's happening.
Next week, Wednesday, August 7th, 7:30, Nipak. And Mark, if this does anything to bring the people out, I am the star of the show.
You're the star?
Yes.
So who are you, the 5 Star, the Folly?
When you come, you'll see.
All right. Okay, thank you very much for that. All right, so much is happening, and that is the performing arts, a play, 5 Star Follies, a musical that's happening at Nipak. Again, the investment, being able to get Nipak back up. Nipak, many people don't know, was closed for a while. We had, the roof was leaking badly. We had some repairs that were necessary. The AC wasn't working, lighting. We had some problems, and we've spent some money and corrected those problems. And let me, while I'm in that mode of talking about that development, to once again thank the government and people of the Republic of China, Taiwan. They have made some funds available to the federal government, the Office of the Prime Minister, each year. And the Prime Minister, Dr. Drew, has, without my prompting, offered, and I've accepted 25% of those funds coming to Nevis each year. and we use those funds, 25%, this year to do much of the work that we were doing at the complex, the village, and at NEPAC to get ready for Culturama. I will get the final numbers that we were spent, and once I get the final numbers, of course, those will be made public. But those were the primary funds that we used, and so we should not have had to go into the treasury for much, because we should have had funds to cover from those funds that have been made available. Equally, in relation to the MGR Park and the work at Pinnies, we have been able to accomplish those with funding from the Republic of China, Taiwan. I remember, and I hope the public would remember, when President Tsai, who was then the president of Taiwan, came, first time ever that a Taiwanese president had visited the island of Nevis, and we had the groundbreaking ceremony. And I was privileged to do that with her, and we now see what we have. Let's go back to the phones. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Good evening. Sorry to interrupt you again.
No, it's all right. You're not interrupting.
I really want to condemn the use of the youth them last night by your political opponents. They keep repeating, they have more than one school, or the conference don't have a roof. You don't expect a roof or nothing like that so early. We are poor country merging. I mean, it was a poor taste. That's all I want to reinstate. It was a poor taste last night to hear the youth them. Oh, I'm not put no roof and thing. And I mean, Mark, the policy is getting to alter, you know, and we going to suffer because of that. If thanks, you know.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And you know, development takes time, and like anything else, it can't happen overnight. You know, it's ironic that the opposition will make noise about putting a roof on the complex, because at the same time they're cussing us for spending money. Say we spending money on entertainment, the village and the complex, but yet they're gonna still make noise and say we should put a roof. So I'm not sure sometimes, and that's why I say ignore the noise, because you just need to keep doing the work and keep trying our best to move the island forward. For me, we will not ever get it all right, but I can assure you, caller, and the people of Nevis, we will keep trying and we will give our best. And we may not always succeed, but thus far, through the grace of God, we have been succeeding. Let's go back to the phones. We have 5 minutes left. Good evening, you're on the mark.
Yes, Honorable Mark. I would like to know if you have any carries on the track for the
you know, that's a good question. I do not know the answer. I will have to look. Let me see if I can find the event schedule before the show finishes. I might be able to tell you, but I'm not sure. Usually they will have car race, yes, for Culturama, the Culturama races, but I confess that I have not seen any promotion for it yet. I'm actually jumping on my phone here and pulling up the calendar of activities. They would normally do the car race, and I think on the, I'm not seeing anything here. Let's see. August 1st, no. Friday, August 2nd, no. Saturday, no. I'm not seeing a car racing down. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year. I'm not seeing it on the list of events for the Culturama official list. They normally have a different list for what they call fringe events. I'm not sure it might be there. If there's anybody on the listing who may be able to help us, but I don't know. I realized that they were talking about it, but then I haven't seen anything further, so I'm not sure if it's happening, caller.
Yeah, because my friend take me over there, show me where it is, and like I up here now, I'm glad to go out there and you know, check the place and check the races. That when I go back down, maybe I can say I was on the track. See a lot of race, whether motorcycle race or whatever. But it's sad to see that they may have it this year, which I ain't sure. But I just say you ain't see it on the calendar.
I don't see it on the official calendar, but as I said, if somebody's out there who could give a quick call and clarify the position, I would appreciate it. I know, as I said, they were talking about having the races, but whether or not it's actually going to happen, I don't know.
Okay, because it's sad to have a lot of visitors in which it would be good for a lot of us come across and see some drag race. You know what I mean? So I gonna leave and let somebody else call in. Thank you, Paz.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. I don't know if there's anybody out there. I keep asking anybody from the committee, anybody from the drag racing community who might be listening. 869-469-1616 or 1700. I know that I heard talk about drag racing, but as I said, it's not on the official calendar that I just looked at. I'm not sure if it might be on the fringe activities calendar, and I don't have that in front of me. But if somebody can call and give a quick word, that would be useful. I know the show is coming to an end. We only have a couple of minutes left. Let me see how many minutes. 3 minutes. We have time for a call. 469-1616, 469-1700. While we wait for the phone to ring, there's drag racing, I'm told. Which day? Sunday. So this coming Sunday. So caller, I've just had confirmation here that drag racing is on the calendar for this coming Sunday. So please go over to the drag strip on Sunday. They will have some activity there in terms of drag racing. Perhaps we're going to hear more about it because there's so much advertising going on now for different functions. But Sunday, I've just been told we should have the drag racing available at the St. James Raceway. So I hope, caller, that you can see some drag racing before you head back to the British Virgin Islands. Ladies and gentlemen, again a reminder, tomorrow morning 9 o'clock we have the Christina Memorial Service right there at Hamilton House on the Hunkins Drive. At noon we close up shop because we have a half holiday as we go into the Children's Parade for Culturama 50. We're asking all who can come out, please do support the memorial service in the morning, but also support the Children's Parade tomorrow afternoon. Tonight, the show is coming to an end, but I know that people are headed out to Herbert's Beach and people are headed out to the homecoming ball at the MGR Park. We have something for everyone, and we are prayerful that you party responsibly, you drive safely, and for God's sake, please do not drink and drive. The life you save might be your own. Again, for those who are visiting who live normally in the United States, please remember that we drive on the left-hand side of the road, and so resist the temptation to drive on the right. Okay, so that's our show for this evening. It is now 10 o'clock according to my watch. The band has not yet struck up. Well, that means it's not yet 10. Okay, I'm not hearing the band, so I continue to talk. So it looked like the band has lost the music. The band strike up now. You see that? Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show. Thank you all very much for being a part of the show. We're grateful for the opportunity to be here as always. And please enjoy the rest of Culturama. Big weekend coming up. And a special appeal to our brothers and sisters in St. Kitts. We look forward to seeing you on the road. We look forward to seeing you at the shows. For those, again, who have come home to be with us, who are having their family reunions and enjoying their country, the land of their birth, we say, welcome home. God bless you, and thank you for coming home. That's our show. Thank you. God bless you. Good night.
Opinions expressed on the preceding program were solely those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Nevis Broadcasting Company Limited or its advertisers.